What is going on, YouTube? Today it is the Camaro King bringing you part 1 of the LS2 swap in the 70 Chevelle here. There's the headlights. Anyways, I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to take this Chevy 350 out today. We won't get the whole engine pulled in this video, but we'll start to disassemble accessory brackets, all that stuff, so I'm going to teach you how I do it. First things first is we're going to remove the battery here. That way we won't risk getting shocked or anything. And then I'm going to move on to removing these bolts. And then there's one there on the shroud, so we can get the radiator out and have more room to yank the engine. So I'm going to begin on that, and I'll be back. Okay guys, so I got this shroud undone, got this top cover off, so now that's all that's holding in the radiator is 2 bolts on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is take a small container and put it under the car and use this petcock here on the bottom of the radiator to empty it. And then I'll take the bottom hose and the top hose off and then loosen those 2 bolts, get the radiator, shroud off, and start working on the whole accessory system. Okay, I've drained out the petcock. As you can see, there's not too much left, and what's left I'm going to have to get taken off that lower radiator hose. So to do that, I got just a flathead screwdriver, which I'm going to use to take off the clamp, and I'm going to yankee on it, pull it off the radiator, and put it into that aluminum pan, and there I'll transfer it to the better container. Then I'll just take off this top one, put the pan under here, try to get all that, and then the 2 bolts on the bottom, and then this radiator will come out, the shroud will come out, and I'll start working on the front drive. Okay, so I was wrong. This radiator is not bolted down to the bottom. I figured it was, and it felt like it was when I saw the radiator hose on there because it was so tight, but it's not. So what I'm going to do now is either grab the grinder or some dikes and just cut these trans lines because they're pretty rusted. I doubt they're going to come out, and we're going to be replacing them anyways for the 4L60. So I'll cut those, take the radiator out, and we'll continue with the plan. Okay, so we have the radiator out. I just cut the lines using my grinder because the dikes weren't cutting through it. Now I had a clutch fan on here, and I just grabbed a hammer and kind of hit it off because I'm not going to be reusing it. And there's that pulley. So I am going to pull completely everything off the front dress. I'll take the power steering pump off. I'll take the water pump off, the crank pulley, and the alternator. And the reason being is that we probably could get this engine out fine if we were just taking out the engine, but we are going to be pulling the trans with it. So we need as much room as we can to pull the engine forward. So I'll take all that off, and I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just find all the bolts on the front and take them out. And then I'll move on to unbolting the exhaust manifolds. Okay, got the alternator off, so now I'm going to work on taking the water pump off. Uses 9/16. Yep, I'm going to need an extension, which I have right here. Let's pop this baby in. And we'll go ahead and turn this. And to get to that back one, I will have to take this off. But they're same on these 2. And then your water pump will come off and half of your power steering. So okay, I'm down on the last 2. And as you can see, just setting the camera up to give you a tip, it is gonna, I totally forgot about this. You're gonna want to move your pan. There, you're just gonna catch your antifreeze to below the side you're taking out at the time, because the engine is so full with coolant, so it's, you know, if you lean on the car, it's gonna want to come out. So make sure you move your pan. Unlike me, now I got a big mess to clean up. Okay, the engine is almost torn down. All I'm going to do is take this crank pulley off. I'll leave the harmonic balancer on. Ain't too worried about that. So, got the power steering pump up there. Get yourself a 9/16, an extension, and get those 3 outer bolts out. And then I think, yep, it's like a 5/8 for that middle. And that is your crank bolt that holds the harmonic balancer in. But to get the pulley off, you gotta take that out too. Take out all 4, outer are 9/16, inners 5/8. Okay, so we got all the bolts out. I'm just gonna, that could have been really messy, but there, that's as far as I'm pretty much gonna tear this engine down now. I'll cut the fuel lines, and then I'll unbolt every single exhaust manifold bolt, all down the sides. I'll take the carburetor off, the distributor out, remove the hood, and my tip for that is make sure you mark your hood. By taking off this carburetor here, I'm just going to take off these 4 base bolts and or nuts. You need to use bolts on this left side here because this trick flow bracket is a little thick for this style of carburetor, so the studs were not long enough. So I'll just take these bolts out. A little easier without the glove on. Now for the messy part, which is taking apart the fuel line. Because I don't know if you can tell, but in the fuel filter there is a ton of gas in there. Well, not a ton, but there is some gas in there. So I think what I'll do is just use our old Arizona tea can to catch it. If I can get it out of here. This was our antifreeze catch can, believe it or not, and it worked wonders. Because the universal ones they sell nowadays aren't that good. Pull these vacuum lines off or just cut them. Don't need them. Now cutting the stem of the carburetor off. So I'm not screwing. If there's one more. Alright, here we go. Okay guys, I went ahead and pulled the distributor out. And I also pulled off the thermostat housing just threw it on the ground. We weren't running a thermostat. But as you can see, there is going to be a little bit of coolant in there. So what I'm going to do now is remove each of these bolts. They're 9/16, and this intake will pop right off. Well, it'll need a little bit of prying from the gasket maker. You can see some of it there. So let's go ahead and give her a try.